Look at that. Look at that. Who said black people can't be on time? We been full time.
Oh, we 1 minute ahead of time.
Okay.
That's,
Enough to go
that's,
ahead and
we
well,
ain't late. We're not late.
say that then. Okay. Well, welcome you guys. Hey, hey, hey. This is Wisdom Wednesday. I'm Goddess Set, and this is my lovely friend, my co-host Michael. And we are gonna be chopping it up. Y'all know how we do it. We do it with wisdom. Okay. So I wanna put this clip on really quickly. The clip is a little bit from the natives, well, a lot from the natives, and I wanted to share what they had to say, what they have to say, and what they feel spiritually, what the spirit is saying in regards to the past and presence and the future. So this is about the celebration of 4th of July, the month of July, and a little history behind it all. All right. So let me see if I can get this to play from where I am. Obviously not, but that's okay.
Hello, my relatives. I am an ally and I come from Yellow Thunder Village in our very sacred Black Hills, our holy land. Mother Earth is what really it's all about. The female-male balance in the universe, the disrespect for everything that is sacred is what's wrong with this society. And nothing's ever going to happen until this society accepts the fact in their heart. But what is needed is the knowledge and the wisdom that the earth is a living being. So please, start putting it in your heart. She's alive. And she hurts. And she feels like you and I.
It's the Hopi belief, it's our belief that if you're not spiritually connected to the earth and understand the spiritual reality of how to live on earth, it's likely you will not make it. Everything is spiritual. Everything has a spirit. Everything was brought to you by the Creator, the one Creator. Some people call him God. Some people call him Buddha. Some people call him Allah. Some people call him other names. We call him Tonkashila, grandfather.
The Lakota prophecies are brought to us by a great warrior named Crazy Horse. And everything he said is going to happen, it happened here. See? And there are two more things that's about to happen. He said he heard the voices of the children cry. So today we look around, you are the children. And see what's happening. You are. You are search for the spirituality, and you are hunger for spirituality, and you are thirst for the spirituality. And many things has gone wrong today. We start from the child abuse to child neglect, spouse abuse, elderly abuse, and abuse of one another and abusing yourself. And that is the sign where it says, you heard the voices of the children cry. So we are in that era right now. I think we're at the end of it. And the next thing he saw, he said, he's seen a huge light, a flash in the sky. And day become brighter than day, he said. And charcoal and ashes fall from sky and cover the earth, he said. And the next day, there was a new beginning because he's seen new grass grow when the water is clear, he said. And this time he only see God's children playing down there, he said.
No, these are the prophecies. These are what we heard. These are what we know. We've been told again and again. 200 years we've been listening to the prophecies. And the first thing you understand is, oh, they're here. Oh, that happened already. That happened. So we are living in a time, like my grandson said, what's going to happen to me? Well, that's our job. Our job is to change people's minds. People have to change. Directions have to change. Values have to change. Otherwise, there's no mercy in nature. None. No mercy. Nature has none. Has only law, only rule. You don't abide the rule, you suffer the result. And it's just no habeas corpus here. It's what you do, how you live. Peacemaker said to the chiefs at the time, he said, build your nation on these principles. The first principle of peace. Peace. And with peace is health. Second principle is justice. You leaders, be fair to your people. And with that will come justice. Third one, power. The power of being united. The power of the good mind. Power of one mind. The other instruction a peacemaker said was, never take hope from the people. Give the people hope. And what is hope? It's leadership. It's principle. And that means the leader's got to be out there. Fight is on. Big fight now.
Woo! Big hope. That's what he said. He said, don't take the hope from the people. Now, that's a lot of hopeless people out there today.
It depends on what you really defined as hope. When we're dealing with prophecies, this was the Lakota prophecy. The Hopi prophecy is kind of similar, and most spiritual systems have a prophecy.
Can you tilt your screen down?
Down.
Yeah.
Oh, the word is coming up.
There we go. We got ways to manipulate this thing. Okay. Look, before you go any further, if you guys wanted to check the rest of that out and see what other stuff they got trailblazing behind that, the link is in the chat, so you guys can copy that, because I hope that was impactful to you. Okay, as you were.
Okay, I was just saying that, this was one of the prophecy was one of the major elements of my teachings as I was growing up in the Adventist church, in the Seventh-day Adventist church, and something that I studied on my own with dealing with spiritual system. It's called eschatology and last day events. And these prophecies, even if we go back to the European Nostradamus, he made these same prophetic proclamations. All throughout history, the Buddhists have, the Hindus have, the Protestants have, the different denominations have all kind of prophecies, but they basically say the same thing: that if mankind doesn't get themselves together, that eventually, just like in the Lakota prophecy, they said ashes, a light flashed and ashes came, and then there was a new day. Right. So that's another element of the destruction of the old world, and the coming of a new paradigm. And the people always said, even in the biblical times, that when will the deliverer come? When will we be released from our bonds of slavery, just like we had during the so-called Exodus in the Bible, and also just like we had this same proclaimed 400 years of slavery here in America with the indigenous and the African people and Negro people from all over the world. When will deliverance come? And then they was always told us have hope. Hope is the same thing as
Faith.
having faith.
Hmm.
And you have an optimist. That's the optimistic view, and then you have a cynical view, where people just might say, well, people been saying that forever, and then they'll make a little joke about it. And then you have the pessimist view. The pessimist view is that, okay, if all of this is supposed to happen, when will it happen? And why hasn't it happened? You know, and those dichotomies right there has to do with the changing of, just like they said in the prophecy, the changing of the hearts of the people. And this is one thing I've always said. I've said this over and over and over, and I'm gonna end on that note. I said the only way people are going to change in the world is if they change their consciousness.
Absolutely. But
Don't change. That's the same thing as your heart.
yes.
But you equate the heart. The heart is a brain, and this is a brain.
Mhm.
And then they say your stomach is a brain too.
I
But
say
we
the
want to
brain
we,
of you.
we, we want to work from here up, from the heart to the crown chakra, you know. And
Mhm.
it's just been something like, you've had our people die, making these same proclamations. People living to be 100 years old, and they never get to see no type of deliverance,
Right.
no type of peace on earth. And it always seems to me, especially in the last 20 years, that this is an impossibility. That it's a utopia that is yet to be fulfilled and never will be,
Mhm.
because this is just my opinion and my concept of this idea. Because over and over, we've had civilizations rise and civilizations fall.
Mhm.
After the fall of one, another one will rise up and have peace and prosperity and everything. Then they'll start the same old decline again, and it
Mhm.
happens over and over. But it also is a reflection of, as above, so below, what happens in the universe.
It's
That we
chaotic
have
in the
stars
universe.
that are born, and then we have stars that
Absolutely.
die. You
It's
know
the
what I
same.
mean? And it's an ongoing process. So that
Absolutely.
day of deliverance, I probably will never see it in my lifetime. I don't even know if my grandchildren will see it. But and I'm so pessimistic about it, and it's just like the only thing that I have hope in is what I do,
With
and what I
yeah.
do and how I carry myself on
Right.
this planet right now.
Absolutely. And
I'm
that's where
not looking for, if there's an afterworld, and then it's like they say it is, then so be it. I'll be happy. I'll be happy to do it. I'll be
Mhm.
happy to even come back to this planet again and do it again.
just
I
just
mean,
just just bring me back in the same position where I am without all the toils. We can
but
look.
but see,
Start
that's
me off
why I
right
love
here.
about reincarnation also, because it's like you can't start back where you left off. You got to
No,
start
God
back
bring
as an infant, and go through all that again. So, how many times you've been here, and how do you know you have been here?
because this shit seemed familiar.
So
I know I've been.
that's
You
my take. That's my take on prophecy,
know.
and it has some relation to the subject that we're going to talk about today. Also,
Uh-huh.
really,
Hmm.
on the formation of this so-called United States, the Republic of the United States of America.
Hmm. Well, let's talk about it. We the past 2 days, the United States of America celebrated the 4th of July,
Mm-hmm.
and we celebrate holidays blindly, and we really don't know the truth of and when we go to school, they teach us surface. They don't teach us the underground. And one of the things that I detest the most about the system, the school system, is that they surely they know how to keep a tradition and a ritual going
Mm-hmm.
via children. If the children were not the catalyst for their ritualistic behaviors and upholdings, none of this stuff would be going on, right? Um, they learn from the stars, and the Greeks and the Romans learned from those who understood astrology and
Mm-hmm.
spirituality. So their understanding is shallow, and it's full of pride. So since it's so shallow and full of pride, their ego in narcissistic ways carries the tradition. And with the spells that they placed upon us, the rituals and things like that, we go into these school systems because they put us in the system and then ordain us to stay in that mindset, losing our consciousness, a false consciousness. So when these kids get into the schoolhouse every year, every month, damn near every other month, however many months, there's some special, so-called special holiday that is
Mm-hmm.
consistently upheld with the usage of children. This is why they focus on children so much, because they know they can manipulate them with the fascination of ghouls and goblins and how you can get candy from a ghoul and goblin and accept the ghoul and goblin, right?
Yeah.
Um, Valentine's days and things like that, candy, is always like a manipulation of candy. Um, Easter, um, Jolly old Saint Nick,
The
who
greatest of
probably,
all.
who probably sucked the. I don't know. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just like. I be goofing off, but I'm just saying. He probably was gay too. Who knows? Um, but my thing is they put these holidays intact and all these celebrations, and they constantly get the kids to uphold them, and then they give incentives to 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 businesses. This is a holiday, a government holiday. They get paid on that day, so celebrate it. But we don't really truly understand what we're celebrating
Mm-hmm.
because we've been indoctrinated for so long, and we have been steered to think a certain way and not think outside that box.
Mm-hmm.
So the 4th of July, really, let's talk about July. Where they get the term July from? I'm gonna let you take that away because I like digging in your brain and stuff like that. So hit me with
Well,
that.
what I learned from July is is July. July comes from the Julian calendar. You could I don't know if I have it here. Pull up it's a website that gives us the uh the names of all the origins of the name of all the months but July in particular was named after Julius Caesar, and it was named after him after they created after he instituted what you call the Julian calendar. there was the Roman calendar. I mean the Julian calendar first, and then the Roman calendar, and then the calendar that we use today called the Gregorian calendar. And after Caesar was assassinated, it was in 430 something A.D. They honored him by naming the seventh the seventh month July,
Mhm.
when the Roman calendar, and they shifted the months. They shifted the months. They shifted the months around according to the seasons of the year. So that's why we have January was named after the goddess Juno. Janus, the two-faced god. Where you have at the beginning of the year, one face is looking back on the end of the year, and the other face is looking towards the beginning of the year, looking forward to the future. And all of these different months, after it had changed from the Gregorian calendar, were in sync with the four seasons of the year. Because in the Roman calendar, September was the seventh month, indicative to its name, sept. The Latin terminology sept means seven. Just like we say in the French language, when we say sept, it means seven. That's the French word for seven. And then you have oct, which is October, which means 8. November.
So they went and squeezed Julius and August in and shifted those days down.
They really went back to the tried to coalesce with the solar calendar of the Egyptians, and this significance here that significance here in the formation of this holiday that we call the 4th of July is emblematic of how of the reason why they chose July as this holiday and the events that led up to this holiday. See, one thing about the descendants of the Europeans who came over here and established this country. These people were they were under the control of master occultists and astrologers and esotericists and people who were well versed in the arts, because they had learned it from the Greeks, had learned from the Egyptians, and the Egyptians handed down to the Romans. Romans went into Gaul and Britain and everything, and they began to teach them all of the aspects of this esoteric and occult knowledge, because everything had to do with the primitive man and the ancient man. Everything he did had to do with the seasons of the year and the movement of the stars and the sun and the moon and all that. So they planned their lives according to this purpose, and also to gain power, authority. Days were propitious for doing things, growing crops, having children, all of these things like that. So this was the significance of Julius Caesar being able to take over a whole calendar system, which he had mathematicians do the calculations and everything. It's just like, when we say King James, the King James Bible. King James did not write the Bible. King James
No,
only
there's
authorized
plenty.
people to
Yeah.
interpret the Bible, translate the Bible into the English language.
And plus,
So
there was plenty other Bibles before that, the
oh
Tisdale and
yeah,
the
yeah,
Wycliffe and the Paneria, in
yes.
which the one.
The Bible was never written in English before
Mhm,
that. Written in Latin and Greek and Coptic and
mhm.
some Roman language. I mean, yeah, Latin. So this was Julius connection to the establishment of
Control.
having this month in this particular spot. Now it's just not just because it's named after Julius Caesar. It's
It's
placed
significant.
in a position
Mhm.
within the calendar that has to do with
Astrology.
astrology.
Yeah, yeah.
So we know that on June 21st is what? It was what?
You tell
It
me.
was, it was the summer solstice.
Okay.
You have the summer solstice,
The winter.
you have the winter solstice,
Mhm.
where they celebrate Christmas. Then you
Mhm.
have the spring equinox, where they celebrate Easter.
Correct.
And then you have the fall equinox within there, where they celebrate a lot of Celtic traditions leading up to All Hallows Eve, or what we call Halloween.
Mhm,
So you
mhm.
have those three pivotal uh so
Astronomical
yeah,
change.
astronomical cardinal points,
Mhm.
and and which have to do with astrology and how they celebrated those events. Now
And
one
it's just,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead, finish with your one
No, I'm
thing.
gonna let you. No, I'm gonna let you go ahead and make your comment because I want to read. I'm gonna correlate this thing with Julius Caesar, and and the Fourth of July with another Caesar who
Mhm.
was the uh, the great the great nephew of Julius
Which is,
Caesar, and his connection with the Fourth of July.
mhm.
So you can go ahead and take it.
I just was going to mention that, people don't realize that it's all about science, astrology, and monotheism. And this is the thing that we're living off today. And this is something that the Masons, this is where the establishment of the Masons kick in with science, astrology, and monotheism, and they live by it today. And one of the things that they make it so convoluted with masonry and actuality, and people, there's a certain amount of fear that people have when they hear the word mason, in which they should, because it's been very, you know tampered with from the actual origin of the reason why
Mhm.
they come from that. But people need to realize that if they're going to tap into some kind of masonry, it is best to understand what they are teaching and not become what they need them to become in the teachings, because there is a lot of heavy teaching that comes from the ancient understanding. But these Masonic temples and orders and stuff like that, they take it and use it in a wicked way, which is um, the control of religion, politics, education, science, war, um, and I'm missing one more, based on
Education.
sex, education, Sex.
All of the seven liberal arts. All of the seven liberal arts, they manage and control.
And this
And
is the very thing that we live.
it's come back from the antiquity of what the Egyptians taught in their temple and their religious rites and their philosophies and their, even when we look at the placement of the Giza pyramids, how it lines up with the star
Very
Sirius
correct.
and
And we
and
don't
Orion.
realize, right? We don't even realize we're operating off our own stuff yet. When we talk about our own stuff, they say, oh, it's esoteric. But yet you're living off of it on a daily basis, but you're just within the box and you don't realize it because that's the very thing that they're controlling this whole society with. But in regards to Julius Caesar and the 4th of July and why people are celebrating it and the true reason behind it, that's where it really is, like they are operating off of esoterics.
Yes.
And this is why they still remain. This is why they're still relevant. And because they operate off of esoterics, and some symbolism, and it's like people try to figure out how can they remain, how can they be relevant? You can become relevant when you study your stuff and stop saying, it's witchcraft.
Yeah. when it's all spiritual systems, all esoteric knowledge, all occult knowledge, it's nothing but ancient knowledge.
Ancient is called 360 degrees
presented to
knowledge.
you in a way that these people understood it when they looked at the Egyptian gods and they had the head of a crocodile and the body of a man or the wings of an eagle and everything. It was to teach you, it was to give you what they call in Freemasonry an initiatory response in your psyche, so that when you seen these emblems, you automatically knew just what they were. Just like when you see
he never changes his nature.
When you see that swoop on them gym shoes or sneakers, as y'all call them, you automatically know that's a Nike.
And what they're doing is, and what they was expressing, the reason why they use these different symbols is because, or these different animals on man, because they wanted you to understand that this is man. But the reason why we use this bird, because the bird never changes its nature.
Yes.
Man,
it's always going to be a bird.
Right. So it uses the purest thing that can remain the same. Like today, you would never see an ant get up and say, yo, what you talking about? What are you doing? Don't step on me. The ant is going to say, the ant is going to just scat and move and continue to, it's never going to look up because it's going to keep its nature. I like to always use a bird as an example too. A bird is never going to fly around with a stick in his mouth talking about, I'm going to use this stick just in case I need to clock him up.
Right. You don't have to teach no dog how to be a dog. You don't have to teach a cat how to be a cat.
A dog is going to never change its nature by the girl is never going to lift up the female is never going to lift up her leg to pee. She is always going to continue to squat. And when they're sick, they're always going to try to give themselves the greenery that is before them, because they know that this is what's going to help them. They're never going to go to the pharmacy to ask where my medication at. They're going to say, let me outside so I can go find the grass I need. So right now we're living in a space where we're not paying attention to what the ancient was telling us, but those who are paying attention to what the ancient has told them are the ones who still remain today, even while they're long gone. And that's
Hmm.
Julius Caesar, you know, and the next month, Augustine, and all these other dead forefathers.
Well,
Why do they still remain?
August was named after his great nephew, who I was telling you about,
I already know.
Augustus Caesar.
Exactly. You
And,
know, so
and
the
this was
question
one of the
is,
reasons why they venerated the Fourth of July. Also, these were the contained. I found this information contained in the Gnostic religion, where in July 4th, 13 BC, there was a cult called the Cult of Divinity and Peace under the rule of Augustus Caesar via Pax Augustus. Peace of Augustus was established. In America, we celebrate the date of our independence from Great Britain on July 4th. Everyone loved this American celebration with all the food, fireworks, and big bangs, but few people know the true hidden occult significance of this date. The reason we have fireworks on days such as 4th of July is how the Universal Brotherhood likes to celebrate new creations that symbolize a new beginning, a new chapter or era, and an end of an old one. For God said, "Let there be light," and so there was light. And that's a little bit of the intro of the information on another reason why they chose that specific date,
uh-huh,
because in actuality, Independence Day was had to do with the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and they signed the document on July the 2nd. So why did they intentionally wait 2 days later
because
in
they
order
operate
to
off. Yeah.
establish that as the Day of Independence? Even going up, even during this time, they were still fighting the Revolutionary War, the war against against Britain and
Meanwhile,
the 13 colonies that they had established over here.
when they were
And so they
slaughtering the
decided
natives,
that they
wow.
wanted to break away from Britain altogether and establish this as their own country. And it was a Masonic venture
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
was in the formation of the European minds way back in the before the 1700s, but actually in the 1600s, under a Rosicrucian, the the uh, the supposedly father of the Rosicrucian, who created the Rosicrucian order, named Sir Francis Bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Francis Bacon was the astrologer and the spiritual advisor to Queen Elizabeth. And he wrote this text called The New Atlantis, where he talked about and gave these certain prophecies concerning uh, the European coming from out of the old world, which is Britain and England, where they live, into the new world in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So this was planned. This was strategically planned out, and the reason why it was so successful was not only because of the magic and the occult practices and rituals that they did, but it was out of the sheer domination that the
Mm-hmm.
Europeans over all the other nations on the planet Earth, and that was because most of the warfare was done by swords and shields, and
Mm-hmm. And
certain
Julius Caesar was
different
one of those.
handheld weapons and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing that made the Europeans so powerful was his acumen to take gunpowder and make it into a deadly weapon.
They make everything into a deadly weapon.
That's why. That's how he kicked ass all over the world.
They shall
That's
rule
how
by
he
the
came
sword.
here and kicked the Indians' ass, kicked the indigenous people's ass.
And
What are you gonna do against a man standing 20 paces back from you with a gun and you running at him with a tomahawk, no shield, or you shooting bow and arrows when all the thing he got to do is get out your range, or his shot is more accurate than you loading up and pulling back. By that time, he done got his shot off.
technology. You know,
So,
talking about Julius Caesar and his movement, and why do you not why do you, but why should we be praising and constantly celebrating someone who took initiative to go from area to area to area to dominate over narcissist tendencies and ways, greed, and then make people, and then in the native land go ahead and slaughter all these people, women, children, men, and every year here in the United States of America, we are upholding the crazy big nosed man and giving him props for doing so.
mm-hmm.
And then we call him a conqueror instead of a murderer.
Conqueror, murderer, same thing. You know what I
Same
mean?
difference, but they think, but when they say conqueror, it has a different tonality.
Yeah, it's kind of watered down. It's
It's
just
watered
like
down. It's like, oh, you're a conqueror. You're the shit. Yeah, you're a conqueror. I'm more than a conqueror.
right, exactly. But see, this is the mindset. Let me tell you, this is the. Now I was reading. I bought this book a while ago. It's called The Secret History of America by Manly P. Hall. Uh,
Mm.
uh, he was one of the foremost Freemasons during during the 19th and early 20th century. In this book, he records how this saint, this Catholic saint from, I think he was from France, um, um, converted to Christianity because it was claimed that she was blind, and then somebody preached Christianity to her, and she gave the sight back. So she had.
You know what?
This is the story. I'm gonna put the reference. I could read it, but I'm gonna put the reference of the story in
While
the.
you're doing that, I want to share this as well. So you go ahead and do that because
I'm gonna put the reference in the after the video so people could. I mean, they heard me say it, so they can look it up themselves.
yeah, definitely. Let me go ahead and let me open this up.
We want to shed light on a piece of American history that is not often told. Many Native Americans do not observe Independence Day, given the fact that settlers committed genocide, conquered indigenous land, and took away their freedoms. It is a sad reality that many Native Americans in Sacramento are reminded of, especially now.
Our culture was ripped from us. Our native tongue was taken from us. We were forced to be Catholic. We had to hide in order to be able to have our own powwows. We were forced to hide and be ourselves. We couldn't go out and project this into the world. We still can't even do that to this day because people are going to see us as, what are you doing?
And so many Native Americans hold their own sacred ceremonies throughout the year, and still to come.
Now, That sounds familiar.
Now there's a two two dynamic story to this subjection that the so-called Native American people that look like them who came across the Bering Strait, and they come from Mongoloid origins. That means they came from over here and crossed over the Bering Strait, but they were part of the Mongol nation, surrounded by China and everything. So they came over here and met the indigenous people who were already over here, which were our ancestors. Most of our ancestors who were black people that look like yourself, and that look like the
For me,
dark.
I'm not black. What you talking about?
I said dark. They don't look well. The current natives look like me now. I look like them. That's because of amalgamation. But the original inhabitants and the indigenous people of the Americas look like yourself. They were your complexion. They had your texture of hair, and they people always said, well, black people don't have straight hair like that. But if you look at the Dravidians over in India, some of those Indians over in India, some of them are blue black with straight jet black hair. So we all know.
But they really defy blackness based on your hair.
Yeah.
So weird.
But we have different textures of hair and everything.
Absolutely.
But the European not ever seen us before on the scale of the average European who came over here, the Pilgrims and the Quakers and everything. They looked at us as an oddity, and that's why they had a skewed look at us. It was a view of something erotic, but something also strange, as you would look at a strange animal. Like, that animal is beautiful, but yet and still, that's an animal. That's not no human being like me. Or that's not a man like me, or a woman like me, and so that's their thought processes, and that was why it was so easy to subject them and to have the mindset that they should be subjected. Now, all of these things happen all over the world and through these different nations and everything. So it was time for the European to rule, and they had in their minds a philosophy called manifest destiny, that we are destined to come over here and conquer these people and to take this country and make it our own, and we're going to make it into this paradise. They even call this the new paradise and everything. So as they subjected the so-called Native Americans, they also subjected, of course, the indigenous people, which we get the beginnings of slavery during the 1600s.
Another thing too, people don't realize that Julius Caesar, not only did he slaughter millions of people, but he also enslaved them, millions of them too.
Oh yeah, yes. Slavery is not a new institution.
No, it is
now,
not.
It's said that we don't know. At least I don't know. I don't claim to know. It's said that the slavery of the diaspora here over in the America was the worst and the most horrendous type of slavery ever to happen in the history of the world.
Are you sure about that? Because
I mean, this is what our black scholars claim.
But I've come to study that Zimbabwe had been the worst Holocaust ever.
Mm-hmm.
The worst.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. But I mean the total dynamic of as many people, because you got to remember there were slaves all over the United States. Slavery was everywhere, in the North, the South, East, West. So I guess the Black scholars are talking about on a grand scale,
Mm-hmm.
and that means as many. It was more people than isolated in maybe in Zimbabwe or Nigeria or the Congo or different places like that. But nonetheless, it was not less savage,
Right.
like you're saying.
Yeah, because it was savage as F over there. They was, oh my Lord, chopping off children's legs, feet, arms, hands, killing them. Just horrific. But but anyways, I think that is pretty disgusting that we're still, this is the age of Aquarius. We're dawning into the age of Aquarius if we haven't made it in there yet. I feel like we are like at the precipice of it if we're not in it yet. Perhaps you got like what, another 40 years, 50 years, who knows?
Well,
But
the occultists and the astrologists claim that you don't really. There's not no time that you go into another age. It's that you're you. It's a gradual change.
gradual spin, yeah.
Like, I mean, it could start at a certain point, but it won't reach its culmination until another point where you might say that's okay. We start in the age of Aquarius now, but you have to look up to the events that led to it. Same thing as we're talking about the events that led up to the 4th of July was established almost at least 150 years before the event even took place.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, today we celebrating it, and we still celebrating it, and it's time to shine a light on, do we really should be celebrating it, and what does it do for us at the end of the day, and why are they doing these fireworks to make us get excited about it? How does that help your household? I mean, it's all good for those who work for the in the systems and stuff, and they get this government pay and time off for free, but at the end of the day, what are we doing here?
Well, the fireworks and everything is indicative of their ancient customs and rituals. They set bonfires and everything. These bonfires were supposed to portray illumination, the reflection of the sun, and especially at night they set these bonfires. They do it on the 4th of July. They do it on the New Year, and it's represented when we have a birthday cake with them candles on the damn cake.
Ain't that something?
It's the same ritual, So that's been part. There was never no African custom where that you could
sugar
that they bake the cake. It's just a cake. It told grandma.
Artificial colors are flavoring, so it's like, wow, how do we get here? We need to unget here. It's crazy.
But our culture, see, this is why we got to read this book by Chancellor Williams, also called The Destruction of African Civilization, and you can understand where we got to this point and how we got to this point. And Bobby said something about in the times that we live in. He said this in the 90s. In the times that we live in, we're not dealing with the old African or the old indigenous American. We dealing with a new Negro. We dealing with a whole different type of melanated person whose mind has been indoctrinated into European customs. And they when you give them information like this and everything, they look at you like, what are you talking about? That what does that have to do with anything? Because their mind can't comprehend the things that they forgot,
Right.
that they've forgotten and that's been hid from them.
Right. But for those who are enlightened, for those who do understand, they take that information and they perpetuate it forward. Because the people here in the United States are more, I don't want to say more powerful, but they're more powerful.
What you mean? The American people, both black and white, and the immigrants, they have an advantage over every other nation
Yes,
that's on the planet.
but in regards to the original man,
Mhm.
although we are only operating off of a small percentage of information, we still have a large advantage on everybody in the world, because majority of the people in the world are indoctrinated. The
Yeah.
ones that are here in America,
Mhm.
they fought for their spirituality. They still fight for it. Not
That's a
all,
fact. That's a
small
fact.
amount. And that spirituality is deep within, even with the people that's the Geechees, they understand that their spirituality is where it is, and they also understand what has been taken from us, because those who have stole that knowledge through masonry, it is being taught here.
Mhm.
They have the ability to reach out and research and find that information, people such as William Chancellor or Dr. Henry Clark, or who else? So many
Dr.
more. Dashwan
Furthermore,
Daisy,
Dr. B, Dr.
Dr. Ben what's his name? Dr. Yakanan.
Steve Copley, who brought us the information on the Boule.
All of them.
Even when you go back to Noble Drew Ali and Elijah Muhammad,
These
and
are
Malcolm
those.
X.
They took that information and they traveled. They be traveling men, and so the people here in America, they have the stronger knowledge base versus people anywhere else in the world, uncomparable to even the forefathers, the ones who took us from our native land. So even though it's a small percentage, we still have that power, and the power is up here. Consciousness.
When I was talking about Bobby Hemmett, and that's exactly what he said. He said the black people over here in America have the advantage over every other black people, every other cultures and black people on the earth, as far as the access to information of our lost and found history, because we are privy to the information and the people in the records that are at our disposal if we just go out and reach for them, and we have access to them. Other than if you go over to Africa, there are no bookshops and libraries and stuff like we have over here.
Missionaries are always
no
over
people
there.
who doing the name a popular lecturer from Africa, other who that's doing conscious work now, and you can just go on YouTube and check out some of their lectures. I'm talking about right now in mainstream society right now,
Not even before.
in
Not before.
anywhere where melanated people at. Yet we do
Correct.
have them in here in the States. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
correct. And we still have our spirituality, which is a double plus, and our ability to tap into consciousness, which some people are, they're afraid of that. But yes, we're at an hour right now. We're right on top of one. But I just wanted to, open that up, open those portals up a little bit so people can start seeing things. They say a seed is bigger than a seed is bigger. They didn't say this, but I'm saying this. A seed is bigger than an actual tree that has been nurtured by someone else. When you have a seed that's dropped on you, and if it resonates, you nurture it yourself because it hits something and then it grows on its own.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is dropping seeds. That's all.
Yeah.
And we're not here to sway anybody or anything like that. Just expansion of the mind to make you think. So
and research and investigate. People don't. They talk about the 4th of July, and they never ask. Okay, they say, okay, why y'all celebrating the 4th of July when there was still slaves during the 4th of July? But they don't understand that those slaves also fought during the Revolutionary War, and some slaves also won their freedom by fighting, because they fought on the side of the British and they fought on the side of the colonists.
But so, mind you, it definitely wasn't for the freedom of the Black person.
Oh no, but you have to take into consideration that, okay, do I want to fight? And it's the same thing that happened during the Civil War. Do I want to fight in this white man's war and possibly get my freedom, or do I want to just say, forget it, I'm gonna just remain a slave? Because also during the Revolutionary War, while these white folks were fighting each other, the slaves ran off. A lot of the slaves ran off. They was like, oh, these white folks over here fighting. Let's pack it up. Let's go to Florida, or let's go up north.
South Dakota. Let's get the hell out of here.
You have to take into consideration the whole history. It was not about on a mundane level and on this esoteric and occult level, in order to understand the whole dynamic of what these holidays are. Because if you want to take into consideration, the people would say, well, hell, while the white man was under his freedom, we earned our freedom too. You know what I mean? These y'all ain't gonna get mad because they had their war.
Dead. We may not be coming back.
Like celebrate your ass. We up, fam.
We done, boss. So for you guys who just joined in, we're tapping out right now. We appreciate you guys dropping in. If you guys want to go back and look at it, it's pretty intriguing. We thank you so much. Join us next time, next Wednesday, and you can kick it with us on Marital Mondays as well. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for your time, my brother. I really appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. We shall see you guys. Yes, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
All right. Hotel, and I'll shave my eye.
I should.